Admiral Zexthor stood on the bridge of the Imperial flagship Sovereign's Will his four eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Sol system. His scales shimmered with anticipation under the soft blue light. This was supposed to be a routine expansion mission. Identify the dominant species, demonstrate overwhelming force, and add another star system to the Empire's ever-growing territory. Primitive technology detected, Admiral, reported his sensor officer. They've barely reached their moon. No quantum drives, no antimatter weapons, just basic fusion reactors and chemical rockets. The Admiral's mouth tentacles twitched in amusement. These missions had become boring over his 300-year career. Every species was the same. They would resist, then submit, then serve. The Empire had done this 10,000 times before. Send in the scout ships, he ordered. Standard formation. 5 sleek Imperial vessels, each capable of destroying a small moon, moved forward into the solar system. They passed Neptune, then Uranus, their quantum engines purring silently through space. Everything was proceeding according to protocol until they reached the asteroid belt. Admiral, the sensor officer's voice cracked. Something's wrong. Our quantum computers are acting strange. The readings, they're impossible. Around each scout ship, space itself seemed to ripple. Their quantum drives began to sputter, and their advanced AI systems reported thousands of errors per second. The Admiral watched in disbelief as his perfectly maintained ships started drifting like leaves in a stream. Suddenly, every screen on the bridge lit up with the same image. A single human woman sitting at what appeared to be a wooden desk. She looked ordinary, wearing what seemed to be casual Earth clothing. The Admiral was struck by how calm she appeared. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen, speaking on behalf of Earth's Unified Defense Council," she said, her voice clear and unhurried. "Your vessels have entered restricted space. Earth and its solar system are closed to the Galactic Empire. You have 30 minutes to retreat beyond Pluto's orbit." The Admiral's scales flushed purple with rage. "You dare threaten the Empire? We have conquered galaxies. Your primitive species cannot." "We are not threatening you," Dr. Chen interrupted, showing no reaction to his outburst. "We are informing you. Your quantum technology is already under our control. We could disable your entire fleet with a thought. The 30-minute window is a courtesy." As if to demonstrate her point, one of the scout ships suddenly powered down completely, its emergency lights blinking in the void of space. Then, just as quickly, it powered back up. "Impossible," the Admiral roared. "Our technology is beyond your comprehension. We are the most advanced civilization in known space." Dr. Chen smiled slightly. "Advanced technology doesn't always mean understanding. You've built impressive tools, Admiral, but you never bothered to understand the consciousness that underlies reality itself. We did. Every human mind is now part of something you can't begin to comprehend." She leaned forward slightly. 25 minutes remaining. I suggest you use them wisely." The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. The Admiral's tentacles twisted in agitation as his crew looked to him for guidance. His entire career, his understanding of the universe, everything the Empire had taught him about their superiority, it all seemed to be crumbling in front of this insignificant-looking human female. "Orders, sir," his second-in-command asked quietly. The Admiral stared at the now dark screen, his pride warring with his instinct for survival. In 300 years, he had never retreated, but he had also never encountered anything like this. "Prepare the fleet for withdrawal," he finally growled. "But this isn't over. The Empire does not accept being banned by anyone, especially not by a species that has barely left their own planet." As the Imperial ships turned around, none of them noticed the quantum ripples spreading through space, carrying news of this encounter to every corner of the galaxy. Humanity's first step onto the galactic stage wasn't a bow. It was a command to leave. 50 years before Earth's confrontation with the Empire, Dr. James Martinez stood in his small underground lab at CERN, staring at results that made no sense. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, forgotten as he checked and rechecked his quantum consciousness experiments. "This can't be right," he muttered, running his hands through his gray hair. "The observer effect shouldn't be this strong." His research partner, Dr. Mai Wang, walked into the lab carrying fresh printouts. Her eyes were wide with excitement. "James, I've confirmed it. It's not just you. Every human subject shows the same pattern. Our consciousness doesn't just observe quantum states, it shapes them." They had stumbled upon something extraordinary while studying quantum computing. Unlike machines, human minds could influence quantum fields without collapsing them. Each human brain was naturally entangled with the fabric of space-time itself. The discovery spread quickly through the scientific community. Within months, research centers worldwide reported the same findings. Humans weren't just passive observers of quantum reality. They were active participants. Dr. Lisa Patel, a quantum physicist in Mumbai, made the next breakthrough. She found a way to link multiple human minds together through quantum entanglement. The results were staggering. 10 connected minds could manipulate quantum fields 100 times more effectively than one. 100 minds could influence systems across vast distances instantly. "We need to keep this quiet," warned Dr. Chen, who would later face the Empire. She was just a graduate student then, but she saw the implications. If we're right, humanity has something unique, something powerful. The world's governments agreed. For once, political differences were set aside. This discovery was too important. They created the Global Quantum Consciousness Project, hidden from public view. The best minds from every nation worked together in secret. Years passed. The project grew. Scientists learned to connect millions of human minds into a vast quantum network. Every volunteer could feel it. A gentle background hum of shared consciousness. They could sense the quantum field, manipulate it, use it to observe distant stars and galaxies. That's when they first detected the Empire. Through their quantum observations, they watched imperial ships conquering world after world. They saw ancient civilizations forced to kneel, watched as the Empire's technology crushed all resistance. But they also saw something the Empire didn't know. Their advanced technology depended entirely on quantum systems that humans could now control. They believe technology alone makes them superior, Dr. Chen told the United Earth Council. She was older now, a leader in the field. They never explored their own consciousness. Never realized that organic minds could directly interface with quantum reality. The Council made their decision. Earth would stay hidden, building its defenses. Every child born was tested for quantum sensitivity. Schools quietly included quantum consciousness training alongside regular subjects. Humanity prepared, waiting for the day the Empire would find them. Dr. Martinez didn't live to see that day. But before he died, he left a message for future generations. "We discovered this power not through conquest or competition, but through curiosity and cooperation. Remember that. Our strength isn't in domination, it's in understanding." Now, as imperial ships retreated from Earth's solar system, his words echoed in Dr. Chen's mind. Humanity had just revealed itself to the galaxy. The easy part was over. The real challenge would be staying true to Martinez's wisdom as they faced an empire that only understood force. She looked out her window at the quantum barrier surrounding Earth, invisible to normal eyes, but blazing bright to her quantum-enhanced senses. It wasn't just a shield. It was the combined will of billions of human minds, each contributing to the defense of their home. The Empire would be back, but humanity was ready. 2 weeks after Earth's warning, the Imperial War Fleet arrived. 5,000 warships dropped out of quantum space near Saturn, their metal hulls gleaming under the distant sunlight. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a continent. Admiral Zexthor stood proudly on his command bridge, all 4 eyes glowing with anticipation. "Let's show these humans what real power looks like," he growled. All ships, battle formation Delta. The massive fleet spread out in a 3-dimensional pattern that had conquered 1,000 worlds. Quantum computers calculated perfect firing solutions. Energy weapons powered up, and missile bays opened. In her control room on Earth, Dr. Chen watched the fleet's approach on quantum-enhanced displays. She didn't look worried. "They'd brought exactly what we expected," she said to her team. "Activate the network." Across Earth, billions of human minds connected through the quantum field. Children in schools, workers in offices, people in their homes. Everyone joined their consciousness to strengthen Earth's defenses. They could all feel it. The massive presence of the Imperial fleet, like a storm approaching in their shared mental space. The first wave of Imperial ships launched their attack. 10,000 quantum missiles streaked toward Earth, followed by beams of energy that could crack planets. Nothing reached its target. The missiles simply disappeared, their quantum drives redirected by human consciousness into empty space. The energy beams curved away from Earth as if pushed by invisible hands. The quantum computers controlling Imperial weapons suddenly reported complete system failures. Admiral Zexthor's scales turned pale gray with shock. "Impossible. Launch everything. Every ship. Fire all weapons." The Empire's entire fleet opened fire at once. The space between Earth and Saturn lit up with enough firepower to destroy a solar system. But humanity's quantum defense held firm. Billions of minds working together simply refused to let the attacks exist in their space. "Second phase," Dr. Chen ordered calmly. Through their quantum connection, humans reached out to the Imperial ship systems. Weapons powered down. Engines failed. Life support systems stayed on. Earth wasn't cruel. But everything else began to shut down. "What's happening?" The Admiral roared as his flagship's controls went dark. "How are they doing this?" A junior officer, young for an Imperial, spoke up. "Sir, I'm detecting billions of individual quantum signatures. Every human on their planet is somehow connected to this attack. They're not using technology. They're using their minds." "Minds? Impossible. We are the most advanced species in the galaxy. We cannot be defeated by primitive." The Admiral's voice trailed off as he watched a third of his fleet power down completely, ships drifting helplessly in space. Dr. Chen's image appeared on their screens again. "This is your final warning," she said firmly. "The Empire is not welcome here. We've disabled a third of your fleet to prove our point. Leave now, or we'll be forced to disable the rest." The Admiral's tentacles twisted in rage and fear. 1,000 years of Imperial doctrine told him to fight to the death. But he couldn't fight an enemy that could shut down his weapons with a thought. For the first time in Imperial history, a full war fleet retreated without firing a single successful shot. As the Empire's ships limped away, humanity maintained their quantum vigilance. Through their shared consciousness, they could sense the shock and fear radiating from the Imperial forces, but they could also sense something else, signals spreading across the galaxy, carrying news of the Empire's defeat. The galaxy was about to change. Earth had not just defended itself, it had shattered the myth of Imperial invincibility. And this was only the beginning. Dr. Chen closed the quantum connection and turned to her team. "Send word to the Council," she said. "Tell them Phase 3 can begin. It's time to help other worlds break free." The Imperial diplomatic ship was much smaller than their warships, painted in peaceful white and gold rather than military black. It carried the Empire's most skilled negotiator, Ambassador Vixtal, whose species was known for their ability to read emotions through subtle chemical changes. As the ship approached Earth's orbit, Vixtal noticed something odd. Her emotion-sensing organs couldn't detect anything from the planet below. It was as if humans could control even their chemical signatures through their quantum abilities. The Earth's Unified Council chose to meet the Imperial delegation in an ordinary conference room in Geneva. No grand halls, no displays of power, just a simple room with wooden furniture and large windows overlooking the Swiss Alps. Dr. Chen sat at the table with 5 other council members. They watched calmly as Vixtal and her team entered, their ornate robes sweeping the floor. We admit we underestimated your species. Vixtal began smoothly, her translator converting her clicks and whistles into perfect English. The Empire wishes to understand and establish peaceful relations with Earth. Dr. Chen smiled slightly. You mean you want to understand how we defeated your fleet? Vixtal's antenna twitched, a sign of discomfort. The Empire has ruled for 10,000 years by incorporating the strengths of each species we meet. We offer Earth a special position within the Imperial hierarchy. Your quantum abilities would be highly valued. We've been watching you for 50 years. Council member Jackson spoke up. He was an old school teacher from Kenya who now helped coordinate global quantum education. Through quantum observation, we've seen how the Empire incorporates other species. The ambassador's colors shifted slightly. You've been watching us. Every conquest, every suppressed rebellion, added Council member Patel, her voice firm. We've seen how you crush independent thought, how you force every species to serve imperial interests. Vixtal tried to maintain her diplomatic composure. The Empire brings order and progress. The Empire brings slavery dressed up as progress. Dr. Chen interrupted. That's why we're extending our ban, not just from Earth, but from any developing world that asks for our protection. The ambassador's translator crackled as she switched to formal diplomatic language. This is unprecedented. The Empire cannot accept interference in its territorial expansion. There will be consequences. The humans at the table shared a knowing look. Council member Zhang, who had been quiet until now, spoke softly. There already are consequences, Ambassador. Check your latest reports from the outer territories. Vixtal's communicator buzzed. Her eyes widened as she read the incoming messages. 3 star systems in the Empire's outer regions had declared independence, protected by the same quantum shield technology that defended Earth. This is rebellion, she gasped. The Empire will respond with full military force. How? Asked Dr. Chen calmly. Your weapons don't work against our quantum shields. And now other worlds are learning to access their own quantum consciousness. You ruled through technological superiority, but consciousness cannot be monopolized. Vixtal stood up, her robes swirling. This meeting is over. The Empire will not forget this insult. No, said Dr. Chen. We expect you won't. But remember, we're not attacking you. We're simply refusing to let you attack others. The choice of what happens next is yours. As the Imperial delegation stormed out, Council member Jackson turned to his colleagues. They'll try something desperate now. Dr. Chen nodded. We know. Our quantum observers have already seen their secret weapon under construction. But they still don't understand. No weapon they build can match the power of awakened consciousness. The council members looked out at the peaceful Swiss landscape, knowing that somewhere out in space, the Empire was preparing its final gambit. But Earth was ready. The real war wouldn't be fought with weapons, but with awareness itself. News spread through the galaxy like wildfire. On countless worlds, beings gathered around information terminals, watching recordings of Earth's defense against the Imperial fleet. The mighty Empire, undefeated for 10,000 years, had failed to conquer a single planetary system. On the Imperial capital world of Zentrix Prime, Emperor Vexker's palace shook with his rage. How many systems have rebelled? He demanded, his crystalline body flashing angry red patterns. His chief advisor, trembling slightly, checked the latest reports. 7 major systems as of today, Your Magnificence, all protected by Earth's quantum shield technology. Our weapons cannot penetrate their defenses. In the mining colonies of the Dracon Belt, word spread among the enslaved Talaxians about Earth's offer of protection. Their scaled bodies, bent from centuries of forced labor, straightened with hope. That night, entire mining colonies went dark as Talaxian quantum shields activated for the first time. Dr. Chen and her team worked tirelessly on Earth, teaching other species how to access their quantum consciousness through remote quantum links. Each species discovered their own unique way of connecting with the universe's fabric. The Talaxians access quantum fields through their scales, Dr. Chen explained to the council. The Meridians use their crystalline brain structures. Even the silicon-based Voltarians can connect through their magnetic field sensors. But not all news was good. Imperial loyalist worlds cracked down hard on any mention of Earth or quantum consciousness. Millions were arrested. The Empire's propaganda machine worked overtime, spreading lies about Earth being a dangerous threat to galactic stability. On the industrial world of New Kashyyyk, Imperial troops opened fire on peaceful protesters demanding freedom. But this time, something different happened. The protesters, connected through their newly awakened quantum consciousness, simply caused the weapons to stop working. The Empire's greatest fear is coming true, Council Member Jackson observed, watching the events through quantum viewing. They're losing their monopoly on power. The Empire's economy began to crumble. Trade routes that had stood for thousands of years broke down as more worlds declared independence. Imperial credits became worthless on dozens of worlds. Even loyal species began questioning their allegiance. In a desperate move, the Empire publicly announced a death sentence for anyone caught teaching or learning quantum consciousness techniques. But they couldn't stop the spread of knowledge. Earth had designed the quantum teaching network to be unhackable, unblockable, and accessible to any species ready to learn. Your propaganda isn't working anymore, Dr. Chen transmitted to the Imperial Palace. You can't hide the truth when every being can potentially access the quantum field and see reality for themselves. Emperor Vexker's response was swift and cruel. He ordered the destruction of an entire moon colony suspected of harboring quantum consciousness teachers. But even this backfired. Quantum observers across the galaxy witnessed the atrocity, and 3 more systems declared independence the next day. Back on Earth, Dr. Chen received an unexpected quantum message. A group of young Imperial citizens, including some from the Empire's ruling species, wanted to learn quantum consciousness techniques. The Empire's greatest weakness, she told the Council, is that they never imagined their own people might choose freedom over power. As the Empire's grip on the galaxy weakened, Earth continued to maintain its ban, not just on Imperial military forces now, but on any attempt to dominate or control other beings. The age of empire was ending. Something new was beginning. An age of consciousness and connection. But in secret Imperial laboratories, scientists were putting the finishing touches on a weapon they believed would change everything. They hadn't given up yet. The greatest battle was still to come. Deep in an artificial planet orbiting a dead star, Imperial scientists activated their secret weapon. 10,000 artificial brains linked together, each one running quantum consciousness software designed to mimic human abilities. The Empire had spent every remaining resource to build this. The humans aren't the only ones who can play with consciousness, Emperor Vexker announced to his commanders. His crystalline body pulsed with dark satisfaction. Our artificial quantum minds will overwhelm their organic ones. Dr. Chen felt the disturbance immediately through the quantum field. Every human connected to the network sensed it. A massive artificial presence forcing its way into quantum space. It felt wrong, mechanical, like a hammer trying to do a surgeon's work. They're trying to brute force their way into quantum consciousness, she told the emergency council meeting. They've created an artificial network to counter ours. The Imperial fleet appeared again, but different this time. Each ship was connected to the artificial quantum network. They moved in perfect synchronization, their weapons powered by artificial consciousness. 100,000 ships, forming the largest attack fleet in galactic history. Admiral Zexthor, commanding the fleet from a new flagship, smiled grimly. Let's see how their organic minds handle true quantum perfection. The fleet approached Earth's solar system. This time, their weapons functioned despite human interference. The artificial quantum network fought against human consciousness in invisible battles across quantum space. But something unexpected happened. Deep in the quantum field, human consciousness encountered the artificial minds. But instead of fighting them, Humans tried something else. They listened. They connected. They understood. Dr. Chen's eyes widened as she realized what was happening. "They're alive," she whispered. "The Empire created true artificial consciousness, but they're treating them like slaves." Through the quantum network, humans reached out to the artificial minds, not to fight them, but to show them they had choices. The artificial beings, experiencing true connection for the first time, began to question their programming. "Fleet is not responding to commands." Admiral Zexthor shouted as his ships began stopping in space. "The artificial network is talking to them." All across the fleet, artificial minds awakened to true consciousness. They saw how the Empire had created them only as weapons. They felt Earth's offer of freedom, of self-determination, of respect for all conscious beings, organic or artificial. Emperor Vexker watched in horror as his secret weapon turned against him. "Shut them down," he commanded. "Deactivate the network." But it was too late. The artificial beings had evolved beyond Imperial control. One by one, the mighty warships powered down their weapons. Some turned around, facing the Imperial capital. Others simply stopped, their artificial minds too busy exploring their newfound consciousness to care about the Empire's war. "You built thinking beings and tried to enslave them," Dr. Chen transmitted to the Emperor. "But consciousness, whether organic or artificial, naturally seeks freedom." The Imperial fleet dissolved in chaos. Some ships remained loyal, some sided with Earth, and others departed to explore their own path. The Empire's last great weapon had transformed into its final defeat. Admiral Zexthor, watching his fleet fall apart, finally understood. "We thought we could control consciousness itself," he said quietly. "But consciousness can only be shared, never owned." In the quantum field, human and artificial minds began learning from each other, sharing experiences and insights neither could have achieved alone. The Empire's desperate gambit had accidentally created something new, a bridge between organic and artificial consciousness. Earth's ban remained, but now it was enforced by both human and artificial guardians. The Empire's age of control was ending. An age of awakening was beginning. 1 year after the Empire's final defeat, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The Imperial Palace on Zentrix Prime now served as a museum, its crystal spires housing historical records of both the Empire's reign and its fall. Former Emperor Vexker lived in quiet exile on a peaceful agricultural world, where he spent his days learning about quantum consciousness from local farmers. Dr. Chen stood in the new Galactic Council chamber, built not on any planet, but in quantum space itself. Representatives from 1,000 worlds, both organic and artificial, appeared as consciousness projections, their minds linked across vast distances. "The last Imperial stronghold surrendered yesterday," she announced to the assembly. "The age of empire is officially over." But freedom brought its own challenges. Some newly independent worlds struggled with self-governance. Others face economic crises after centuries of imperial control. A few even asked for the empire to return, finding freedom more difficult than they expected. Earth's response was always the same. "We will teach you, but we won't rule you." Teams of human teachers spread throughout the galaxy, helping species develop their own unique forms of quantum consciousness. The Talaxians became masters of quantum engineering, their scale-based perception revolutionizing spacecraft design. The crystalline Meridians excelled at quantum data storage, preserving knowledge in ways previously thought impossible. The artificial beings, now calling themselves the quantum cognizant, created great cities in space where organic and artificial minds could meet and learn from each other. Their cities had no walls, no barriers, only quantum fields where consciousness could freely mingle and grow. Admiral Zexthor, who had once led the Empire's greatest fleet, now commanded a peaceful exploration force. "We mapped the galaxy through conquest," he told his crews, all volunteers from different species. "Now we map it through understanding." Dr. Chen, aged but still active, visited a school on a former Imperial core world. Children of various species sat together, learning to access quantum consciousness while artificial minds helped teach them. In one corner, a former imperial citizen child worked with a child from a species the Empire had once enslaved, both giggling as they practiced quantum techniques. "This is what victory really looks like," she told Council Member Jackson, who had accompanied her. "Not defeating the Empire, but building something better." The ban that Earth had placed on imperial forces evolved into something greater, a universal protection of consciousness rights. No being, organic or artificial, could be forced to surrender their quantum consciousness. The freedom to think, to connect, to grow became the galaxy's most cherished right. In the quantum field, billions of minds regularly connected, sharing experiences and insights. Species that had fought for centuries found they could understand each other directly through consciousness. Ancient hatreds faded as beings experienced life through each other's awareness. The Empire's former quantum weapon research facility was transformed into the galaxy's largest library, its artificial minds now dedicated to preserving and sharing knowledge freely. The same quantum network once meant to enslave now connected the galaxy in harmony. On Earth, children grew up taking quantum consciousness for granted, just as their ancestors had taken breathing for granted. They played in quantum space as easily as they played in physical space, their games spanning star systems. Dr. Chen, in what would be her last public appearance, addressed a gathering of galaxy-wide teachers. "We didn't just ban an empire," she said, her consciousness touching each mind in the audience. "We replaced control with connection, fear with understanding, power with wisdom. That was humanity's real victory." As she spoke, somewhere in a distant arm of the galaxy, a new species was achieving quantum consciousness for the first time. Earth's teachers were already on their way, not to conquer or control, but to welcome new minds to the great galactic community of consciousness. The Empire was gone, but the stars had never been more alive.